Hey Tim, look at this.
Needs work.
Hey Tim, how about this?
Still needs work.
Darn it. How about this?
Nice, high five.
Hey there everybody, how's it going?
My name's Tim.
And my name's Michael.
And you're watching the TMI show.
That's a Tim and Michael information show. Today we are talking about supporting each other as artists. And this is our foundation.
Support. This is a proverbial scaffolding.
So this came up very recently, and I've said it a million times already, and I'm going to say it another million more times. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming to see
You're welcome.
The Last Days of Judas Iscariot.
You're quite welcome.
Because it was one of those really special shows that I wanted so many people to see. And then it came up the other time that it actually came up briefly, and I think we may have talked about it on another show or not. I'm not sure, but we had a friend go to see one of our other friends' shows, but it was for a festival in which he was going to be interviewed at the end because his show was chosen from a class, and then it went on, and so it's one thing to leave early, you know, if you have to go somewhere, but you know, my point was she left before we got the chance to see him, you know, do his interview, and I talked briefly about how, like, you know, his grandma, he said she was there, and he said he felt good that his show was first because she had to leave early.
Sure. And
so then I said, well, that's a bummer, because you really should stay for all of these. And then our other friend, she perked up, kind of like, oh, and we're like, what are you don't tell me you're leaving early. She's like, I'm sorry, is what she said. And so what I started doing is I stopped inviting her to things because it became very apparent, because she would always make a big deal about how busy she was and how just, you know, swamped with everything she was. And so I said, you've made it apparent that you're busy, and so I just feel like you know, when you do get here, if your time is so precious, so you have to deck out early, you know. And that was a while ago, and that wasn't with me. But then there was a recent one that did happen with another classmate who, after talking with some other people about the show, she walked in and then she said, "Oh, The Last Days of Judas Iscariot." And I said, "Yeah." She said, "When does that close?"
Well,
this was a couple days ago, so it was a Saturday, and we closed 5 days prior on a Sunday, 6 days prior on a Sunday, and it hurt because, as you know, I send out emails like a madman.
And by the way, and they're very well timed. I don't know if like a madman is quite accurately, because he kind of sent one out a while ago to get the show on our radars. And then he sent out another one a week beforehand to be kind of like, oh, hey, by the way, the show's opening, so in case you forgot, clear your schedules, which is exactly where I was, because I was aware of it, but I forgot the exact dates, so that gave me enough time to sort of
share out of the way.
Yeah, please do.
Sorry.
We don't have a guest today. Get that. So yeah, but your emails are, you know, well scheduled.
Well, thank you. That makes me feel a little better, because I try to think of. I just had another friend invite me to her birthday. She called me on a Thursday, and the thing was happening on a Friday the next day, and I was like, oh gosh, like.
Well, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, and I said, like, I wish I had some sort of advance notice, and that's always the biggest thing for my not being able to commit something, is I just don't know about it in time, because things fill up in your schedule. So yeah, and I guess I was hurt. Not I guess I was a little hurt, because I had done the, you know, emails. I talked about it, and I even handed her a postcard, which has, you know, and it you know, can I throw it up again? I mean, we've done it already in the show, so we'll just go boom. There it is, and this is the little image that they even gave us to put in the emails to send to everybody, and then we'll swipe it away really quickly. But all of the information is on there, and especially if you actually had it in the card. I mean, and I attach it to everything, and I even write it down. And so for her to say it, especially as much as I had talked about it in every attempt, it just became very clear to me that it wasn't that important to her.
Sure.
And I think I've grown used to it. You know, you've heard people say often, if you really want to do it, then you'll do it. Because sometimes it's how we are as artists. You know, especially when you're younger. You know, you'll draw what you want to draw. When I was taking art classes in 7th grade, I mean, I think I remember getting a C. You know, because I didn't want to do what the other stuff, you know, but you'll do what you really want to do.
I did the same thing like a week ago. But I wasn't being graded.
So. We're all just 7th graders.
Carry on.
So, and the thing is, I've worked pretty closely with this other friend of ours and in trying to, you know, create things and, you know, be supportive of everything that we're doing as a whole.
Right.
And it occurred to me, and I was reminded of a story. But one of my supervisors back at Knott's Berry Farm, 2 years into my working there, heard me talking about a play, and she said, "Oh, you act?" And I say, "Well, yeah, I do.
I'm built around acting. This is what I do."
But then it's hard because when you meet somebody, like when the first day I met you, I didn't know that you had gone to film school. Right. I didn't know that you worked at Disney. I mean, all of these pieces of information come out later. I didn't know that you did photography, but all of these essential things that I know about Tim are part of my frame and picture frame of who you are. But I think it's amazing that you can go through and you can not really know what somebody does if the question never comes up, if the inquiry never actually comes up. And there could be a whole side that you miss. Like my other prime example, our good friend Jonathan Blake. I told him I would be surprised if anybody knew you and didn't know that you did stand-up. Because if you've seen John do his stand-up, it's a treat. It's wonderful. Right. And you're like, it's awesome. And for them, like, for somebody to go like, "Oh, you do stand-up?" Of course John does stand-up. So,
and here's the thing about John Blake, if I may interject.
Sure.
I've never seen him do stand-up. It's just, it's never worked out. But, you know, even only kind of seeing him in class and here and there, one of the first things I think about John Blake is he does stand-up. And he lives his life in such a way that it's hard not to know that he does that. Like, even in storyboarding class, which is very different from stand-up, he'll get up to do his presentation and he'll be like, "Oh yeah, so you know, today's my storyboard is about it's based on a script I did for a little stand-up play that I was thinking about putting out, and you know, it's some Winnie the Pooh on Weird Psychedelic County or something." But it comes out in everything he does. You just know that he does stand-up because everything he does revolves around it.
And so, I think it's great, you know, when we actually get to go to someone else's thing and see that. It's funny because he actually play got accepted. He wrote a Winnie the Pooh play and it got accepted to playwrights.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it was great. I think it's important to know that sometimes there's a side to a person that you don't always get to see. And I'm glad that I've had the chance to be with you in a class and also visit you at work.
Yes.
And see you in the midst of a place where you will probably be designing one day. And you know, you want to catch all these different sides. And also when I actually came to your place and you showed me your photography, the more chances that you get to really see what somebody else does. And if you take a little extra effort to go outside of just your class or just whatever it is, sometimes it's really nice because it's sort of a respect thing, you know, that happens. And beyond respect, it's just fun for you to kind of get out there and see what else is happening beyond your little world, you know, of whether it be one thing or one thing. And so I felt maybe like I had been giving myself so much to the facets that her and I had been working on together. And I told some other friends, you know, that it's not like I'm asking you, the least you can do is come and see my show, but the least you can do is come and see my show. And so for her to just kind of say like, you know, "Oh, well, when does that close?" I was a little bummed. And so that's where it kind of, I remember I called you on the way home.
Right, we were talking about this the other night.
Yeah, and I also I called you, and I called my singer as well because she's also a performer. She's an actress, and so I said I just need to talk to people who get it. And so that's the point that we brought this to the show, is that I think it's really important that you support each other and because I couldn't imagine only living in my own little world and not going out to see somebody else's thing, you know, or even break out, because you need to flex, you know, you need to flex your doors, and you can't be so enclosed in your own little box. And I know that people are busy, and I know that it's my friend Danny Roquet, who's a brilliant performer. The guy's just really, really talented, super talented, and he's funny, and he can sing, and he gets comedy. Every single time that his band project has performed, I've either had a show or not been able to go, and it upsets me every single time, because it doesn't happen often. But I've always wanted to just, you know, get out there to the best of my abilities. And I hope he knows that, because it's you know, you can't see everybody's projects all at once. But sometimes just the effort. And that's just why I tell people, you know, sometimes, guys, the fact that I'm inviting you, and if you're telling me, like, you know, I'm sorry I can't make it, that's fine. Just know that I'm happy to invite you, you know, and that's all. So,
well, it's one thing to be really busy, not be able to make something, but then, you know, if you aren't even really aware that the kind of the show has ended, and, you know, what was going on there. You know, even if I can't make something, a lot of times I'll try to sort of have a, you know, I try to remember that something's going on, and I'll shoot out a friend a text, oh, hey, good luck at your thing, or, you know, hope this works out. And, you know, the thought is there. You know, it's like they say, it's the thought that counts. Mm-hmm. And, you know, well, you want to put effort in, too. You can't just ride on thought alone, but, you know, it's good to have the thought there.
Thank you, by the way, too, because you just reminded me of some friends who sent me those break-a-leg messages and that sort of thing, and I already told them thank you, but I should probably send them another thank you, just to say, you know, thanks, you know, because that was really sweet. So
definitely
support each other is all we're saying, and I feel like writing a song about it now. You know, so.
Get a little ballad going. Yeah. We're going to write a ballad about supporting each other, and you guys better darn well come and see it.
Otherwise, we're not friends anymore. No. So, no, we're not. No, honestly, that was just a joke, but still, yeah, thank you to anybody that supports any of your friends in your endeavors, and, you know, gets out there outside of your little boxes, and, I don't know, decides to do a show on YouTube or something, you know, because this is fun. I mean, it's fun for us, and so, I mean, this is just a little thing. So
how we get express ourselves out there and get our stuff out. So,
yeah, it's easier than writing sometimes for journaling. I'm like, there it is. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we will see you soon.
See you next time.
And remember, guys, if you have any questions, go ahead and email us at tmi.art.productions@gmail.com.
Oh, good. My hairdryer works again.